Hello and welcome to the opening match of the GSTL Venus Group. Today we have a special treat where we will be seeing the first full non-Korean StarCraft 2 team coming and playing in a televised StarCraft match. We will also be having two different matches today. The first one being between FXO Esports, who you see right here. Alright, so these guys will be playing against StarTale, the runners-up of GSTL February. And today we will be having the first non-Korean StarCraft 2 team, as I was saying. With me here is FXO Wolf, who will be casting with me today.
Hello,
how are you doing?
Hello, everyone. I'm glad that I can finally sit down next to Torch.
I am Torch. I am here casting again. This is my second time casting in a GSL-sponsored function. So, how you doing here today?
Oh, my mic's off.
Wolf's mic apparently is off. He is very excited to be here.
Oh. Okay,
Sorry, guys, about the technical difficulties, but we will...
I think, I don't know. Alright. Alright, so, FXO was established on December 12th, 2010. They're, of course, 10th place in GSTL. They've never participated before. They're the first foreign team to participate in the GSTL, as Torch was saying earlier.
And not only the GSTL, but this is actually, I think, the first time a full non-Korean team is coming to compete on Korean soil against full Korean teams. So this is a very revolutionary time in esports. We're showing that the world can actually try to compete with the Koreans. Maybe they won't be taking the most games or the most matches yet. I'm sure you're going to have something to say about that. But it is still very, very exciting to have them here with us today.
All right, there's a shot of all of them now.
Including that nice little Wolf Schroeder there in the middle with the thumbs down.
Showing the thumbs down. So you can see our lineup, of course, filled with a variety of players. Oz, our newest player, Kim Hak-soo, is a great Protoss player. You can see him kind of in the middle to the left of T-Gun. And he's a great addition to our team, I have to say. Most of those other guys you recognize, especially Sheth there at the back, he's quite popular. And QXC, you may have heard of him over there at the top left with his bandana.
QXC will actually be the starter today as well. He is very confident. He's did quite well in the qualifier, the Code 8 qualifier the past weekend, but didn't quite qualify. He did lose to Dongre Gu, who's a very strong Zerg player.
It was a really close series as well, so QXC has been doing a great job ever since he's gotten here to Korea. He's really taken to it,
But we will be seeing them play up against StarTale, a very fearsome team. I was with them up until recently, and they're feeling very confident coming down here. The coach in the back there, he has been a prominent member of Korean esports for quite a while.
Yeah, StarTale looks very confident today. They seem confident in the makeup room when I saw them earlier. They just look very prepared. A lot of players in there I'm sure all of you guys recognize, including July Zerg there at the back.
Yeah, this is one of the better teams in Korea. However, they are a little bit nervous at the same time as being prepared because they are facing a foreign style, which in general is seen as an inferior overall, but you can throw out a lot of tricks, and in a team league format like this can really help you help the foreign team, FXO, to actually take a lot of matches from StarTale and maybe even take the game.
Yeah, it's like playing in a foreign country or battling in a foreign country in a war or something. You just don't know exactly what to expect. You just don't really know the terrain. You don't know what you're dealing with.
And I'm sure to them, all the foreigners look the same anyway, so.
Well, that is how the joke goes. But yeah, StarTale, I think, is going to be a pretty difficult opponent for FXO today. As you can see, QXC going to the booth there. He is going to be the starter, and StarTale's starter is going to be actually StarTale Tiger.
Yep, Tiger's a little-known player in the GSL. He has been doing quite well, though, in the practice room, so he is a Protoss player. Now, what we see on screen is the information for StarTale. They were one of the later establishing StarCraft 2 teams, but their coach, Won Jong-wook, has come from the We Made Fox team from StarCraft 1. So he has a lot of history in bringing up a team, knowing exactly how to train them and get them the environment they need to be very, very good. Now, they did take third place of the point ranking for the GSTL. This is also their lineup right here.
Yeah, you can see a lot of those guys very recognizable, like Ace over there at the right. You can see Bomber over there. Of course, July, one of the most recognizable figures ever in esports. You can see Bomber over there, third from the left as well. He's done quite well recently. Thinks he's one of the better players in the world. Tiger over there, I think. Do you know which one's Tiger? Oh, he's actually the one that's kind of crouching down the lower part there at the front. He's, I don't know much about him, but I've been told he's a very good pro-boss, and that's why he's being chosen to be the starter here. So I think we're going to be finding his style out here pretty soon.
Yeah, I don't know which team he came from StarCraft 1, but I do believe that he was a StarCraft 1 B teamer. He didn't really make any sort of waves or anything like that, but he is looking to do that in StarCraft 2. He was a late joiner, so maybe this is the first showcase he's going to get, like with Dong Gu, and really show that he does have the potential to go far. Now we see here Josh, the coach of FXO, and also the manager and
owner, basically.
Pretty much a boss.
He is a boss.
With the other boss of GOM TV there, that's John the translator.
Yeah, John does a great job of translating. He actually does a lot of other things for GOM TV as well, but he still translates when he can. So right now, basically, the rules are being told to Josh, and John is translating that. Of course, he knows the rules, but it's just a formality to tell them exactly how the rules are, the maps, how many games are played, etc., etc.
And for anyone that doesn't know, the guy on the right is the coach of StarTale and the head manager, and the guy in the middle, the middle Korean, is the leader of the S2 Con, which is the StarCraft 2 conference in South Korea, which is all the StarCraft 2 teams are together, and they decide on rules, they decide on what is fair, and how to try to help the players grow as people, in addition to the players getting what they need as players.
Exactly. And you know what, Torch? I'm really excited to see these teams go at it, and it's kind of interesting because I'm a player and coach of FXOpen, and you're a former StarTale player.
Former, yes. But yes, this is going to be the opening match of the GSTL Venus League. We did have a very exciting match yesterday for the opening match of the Jupiter League. For anyone that didn't hear, Venus and Jupiter are the translations of the days in Korea, so for Friday and Thursday. The Venus League will always be played on Friday for the upcoming 10 weeks. Where we have a full group league within each league. So every team in Venus League will be playing against each other.
Right, and as you guys saw the groups over there, see who's in which, who plays on Thursday, who plays on Friday. Obviously, a team that's in Venus League, for example, is always going to play on Friday. Someone who's in Jupiter always plays on Thursday, so you can look up those teams. Make sure if you've got a team you really want to watch, that you just always go on that day, because they're always going to be playing on that day.
Yep, and if you don't know what our schedule is, you can check it out on gomtv.net. And if you have a mobile, you can check it out on m.gomtv.net.
m.gomtv.net, something I definitely recommend checking out. I know I talk about it like all the time, but it's worth checking out. I know there's someone out there who hasn't heard about it yet. You should tell them about it.
It is a very elegant site, much like a lot of the mobile sites that are created out there for esports. One of them being mobile Team Liquid, a very great site for the growth of the esports community. It's just really good to get the information from a platform that is designed for where you're viewing it from.
Exactly. So how are you feeling about these matches? Are you excited, Torch? Because this is going to be really exciting. This is the first foreign team that's sitting there. They're sitting right behind me. They're right there, man.
And you are wearing an FXOpen esports shirt, so I don't know if I can fully trust everything you're going to say. I don't have my StarTale wear on right now, but I will tell you guys at home, it's most likely going to be 4-1 or 4-0 in favor of StarTale. I'm sorry.
I don't know about that, Torch, because I'm thinking maybe it could be 4-0 for FXOpen. We're starting out with QXC. He's pretty good. You may have heard of him.
That's true. But this is the first time he is going to be in a booth in Korea, and that is, I can tell you guys from experience, that is an extremely nervous.
That is very nerve-wracking, but QXC has jumped over cars. In the past, he's jumped over trash cans. Right now, he's just sitting in a chair. That's not that hard.
That's true, but he's going to be sitting in a chair against one of the up-and-coming Korean players of StarTale, Tiger. So
that's true. And the thing about Tiger is we don't really know a whole lot about him. If they send out someone like Squirtle or Ace, we can study a lot of those games. There's a lot of them available, but sending out Tiger, one of the players at FXOpen just doesn't really know that much about.
Yeah, knowledge is everything in StarCraft 2. You need to know exactly what their play style is so that you can know how to practice against it and counter it. Now, what map are we going to be playing on for the first game?
I believe the first map is going to be Zalnaga Caverns.
Okay.
So, a very standard, normal first map to be starting on, very balanced. It's TVP, so I think, actually, Zalnaga Caverns is my favorite map to watch TVP rather on, because there's a lot of different things that can happen. You can do almost any build on it. You can't really go for fast command center or anything like that, but barring those types of incredible macro-oriented builds, you can almost do anything on it.
So now you've been practicing a lot with QXC over the past few weeks when you guys have been in Korea.
Right.
Do you know how he feels about this upcoming match?
He feels really confident, and he actually... we're going to take a look at some of our foreign fans.
All cheering for FXO, the little signed banner there with everyone from FXO, including yourself, Wolf.
Yeah, I signed it.
It's going to be a very treasurable item right there.
Well, I'll tell you a little about QXC's strategy for this map. He wants to go for a 2 barracks opening, so he can pressure if he needs to. If he needs to just sit back on one base, tech up, and use drop shift to pressure, he'll do that. He can expand behind it. He can do all sorts of things. So QXC really likes that 2 barracks style. So that's most likely going to be his plan. That's what he's been practicing. He's practiced against players from Prime, like Hannibal Prime. He's practiced with Hannibal Prime, practiced against Classic Prime. And he's really, really prepared for this match.
And Prime is a team that does have a lot of really strong Terrans. Polt just winning the GSEL Super Tournament. So there's the...
Those are our flag, basically. Every team gets a flag, and then every player on the team signs it, and then is given to the fan, the audience. So if you come to the studio, you just might get it. If you look enthusiastic, someone from the team will give you one.
And in addition to flags and other signed memorabilia that you can get from the teams, a lot of the teams are starting to get a bit more organized and get team shirts that you can come and get from the studio. They don't quite have it being sold online yet. This is something that a lot of the teams are working on. But we are starting to give out stuff in the studio. So if you're in Mokdong or in South Korea, look us up. Come on down to the studio. We're very friendly. Have free pizza sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
And if you don't, if there's no free pizza, you can go to pizza school just down the street. It's a great pizza
I got mine
place.
Waiting for me. I'm very hungry right now. So
it's actually like 5,000 won for a great big pizza. It's like $5 US. So pretty good deal. All right, so we're going to take a look at our players. There is the man himself, Kevin Riley, otherwise known as QXC. He's from the U.S. He's the IEM USA runner-up, and he made it to the round of 12 in the World Championship and won the TL TeamSpeak Open number 13. He's a great player. If you haven't heard of him by now, you haven't really been following esports.
Also a very memorable guy. He always wears his bandana on his head throughout all of his tournament matches. So if you go to an MLG or any other tournament where you see him out there, you're going to recognize the bandana and you can run over and say hi.
He's actually a really, really friendly guy. He won't hesitate to talk to you. He won't hesitate to tell you what he thinks either. He's very down to earth. And he's an awesome guy overall. His mentality for practice and training is really, really solid. He plays almost more than anyone else. He just sits down and plays when he knows he's too tired. He takes a break. He goes for a jog. He's extremely athletic.
Yeah, and it seems like all of FXO is really focused on the athleticism of the sport. You have been going to the gym together,
Yeah,
correct?
we go to the gym. We go on jogs together and things like that, just to make sure that our mental state is solid, because exercising is a good way to relax and calm yourself down mentally, as well as keep yourself physically fit.
Yep, and for a lot of people out there, they think that StarCraft players are just playing a game, but really, you're playing this game at a really, really high action rate for sometimes up to 68 minutes as far as QXC's Kode qualifier match is concerned. But on the other side, we do have StarTale Tiger. His age is 25. I believe that is Korean age, which is 1 or 2 years older than a foreign age.
Yep.
His nationality is South Korea, of course.
And I don't know much about this guy. There aren't really any results posted there, but that's something that the foreign scene kind of looks at, I think, a little bit wrongly, is foreigners look for results and say, oh, he has no results, he must therefore be bad, because there's been so many tournaments he could have played in. But this guy could be so good, you just don't know. You just don't know.
And he is a new player for StarCraft 2, so just like Dong Regu, who was really unknown until maybe 2 months ago, and then has come out and done extremely well, almost taking MVP to a win in the last GSTL over Slayers.
Yeah, he has done quite well. And this could be another one of those guys that next week everyone's going to be talking about. He's going to have a fan club on Team Liquid. His name's Tiger. Maybe he's going to pounce on QXC and take him out here, but I don't think so. QXC's been training so hard.
I think we're definitely going to have a very close game here today. And this match is actually going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think as far as StarTale versus FXOpen.
Yeah.
A lot of people were saying FXOpen's coming over to Korean soil. They're not going to be doing too well, whatever else. No. These foreign teams are a lot closer to the Korean teams than people realize. They just need to be practicing in a Korean environment.
Yep. All right, well, the countdown has started. Who's going to take Game 1? Will QXC take it or will Tiger? Let's find out here at GSTL. All right. Down here at the bottom position, a member of the team FXOpen. You've probably heard of him. He is
FXO QXC
FXO fighting from Ireland. And at the top position, a relatively new player, at least new to the televised scene, he is
StarTale, Tiger.
Alright, so this map is Zelnaga Caverns. As I was saying earlier, there are tons of different builds you can do on this map. I know off the bat that QXC is going to be doing some sort of 2 barracks play. He always practiced that when he was training for this specific map, for this matchup. So I know he's going to be doing that, but I have no idea what Tiger is going to do. There are so many different options you can do. You can do almost everything except a Nexus first. You can 2-gate proxy on this map. You can, of course, that's not going to happen, but you can do almost anything. You can get your double gases. You can go 1-gate robo. You can do 3-gate pressure into an expand. You can do a 4-gate. There are a lot of different options.
And we do see QXA starting the supply depot near his wall, so he is going to be able to finish that off later. But he does put his barracks near his command center so that it keeps his units a little bit closer in case he does get rushed like you were talking about. However, we do not see Tiger actually going for any sort of super early aggression quite yet. We do see the...
Oh, I was just going to say he's just going out to scout right now. And I like that you mentioned that because a lot of players do just put the supply depot there because that allows you to... That supply depot timing is the exact same timing as a probe would come into your base to make a pylon and then, of course, eventually gateways. So a lot of players like to make that supply depot just to check for the probe at the same time. And, of course, it serves as a wall off later, but doesn't make you very vulnerable if units come into the inside of your base.
Yeah, one thing that was really popular in the beta was actually using that first probe to kill the SCV that's building a barracks. So if you're building your barracks really far away, you have to pull off another SCV from your line, which does hurt your mineral income a little bit, which people don't think it's that big of a deal, but in a high-level game, every little mineral count, every second counts, because when you're 1 second ahead, you have 1 extra unit, you're going to win that battle decisively.
Indeed, that's a very good point, Torch. Now, right now, QXC has started his second barracks. He's also started a reactor. The probe was able to see the second barracks, did not, however, see the reactor. Now, QXC is going to come in here, he's going to see the second gas.
And he does see it finish, which is actually key. If you only see the second gas go up, it can be cancelled, which can then lead into a 4-gate timing. Very strong opening from Protoss versus Terran. Not quite so much after the latest patch.
Yeah, I actually used to do that all the time. I would get a second gas, and then if they left, I would just cancel it, then 4-gate. And for a time, it worked quite well for me.
But we do also see QXC going for a reactor tech lab opening on 2 of his barracks. That allows them to get up a lot of bio units to be able to defend strong early. And if the Protoss player goes for a fast expansion, you can actually kill him right there. Right.
It gives you a lot of variety in your units. You get a lot of Marines out, you can make Mirages if you need to, or you can just make 3 Marines at a time. It allows you to get very fast stim if you'd like to do that. It's a very versatile build. And you can expand off of it, you can pressure with it. It's a very, very solid build. And right now it looks like Tiger is going to add 2 more gateways, most likely going to do some sort of 3-gate aggression into an expansion. That's a really, really popular build to do on this map. In fact, our own FXO Slog, it's his favorite build. He does it all the time on this map. And that that looks like QXC is going to pressure out here just a little bit. He doesn't know exactly what's going on. He's moving several Marines out, 5 Marines and a Marauder.
That first Marine going out there getting scared away by the Stalker. Fortunately, QXC did hide the rest of his Marines for a little bit longer, but then he does decide to group up and pull them out. Does chase the Stalker away from the Zelnaga tower, which gives him control of the center, but it also cues Tiger into exactly what build that FXOpen QXC is going for.
Exactly. Now, he does have a sentry at the top of his ramp, and that second Stalker is going to come home and join him, so he should be able to defend this no problem. QXC is not going to overcommit with this. He's just going to pressure forward, try to do a little bit of damage if possible, and then back away.
And we do have a sentry on the top of the ramp and another sentry almost finished, so he can force field as long as he needs to defend. What QXC is doing right here is he's just zoning out to make sure the expansion of the Protoss doesn't go down, but he can't actually push up that ramp.
Exactly. A probe sneaks into QXC's base during all of this, so he knows exactly what's going on. Now, it looks like QXC is going to try to use this SCV for vision, maybe bait a force field. SCV does get taken out immediately. QXC needs to back away now because there are several force fields available. If he traps those units, QXC is going to be in trouble.
Oh, and exactly what you said is going to happen. He is going to be able to pull away with only 2 Marine loss, which is not that big of a deal, but is not what he really wants to be doing this early in the game. It also allows Tiger to put down that second Nexus, which is going to give him an economic lead, assuming that QXC does not scout it quickly enough and counter it.
Exactly. Now that probe was finally taken out of QXC's base. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows you have no second gas yet. You haven't made a command center yet. QXC just now going to make that command center. There is, however, a forward pylon hidden in the southern part of the map. So if Tiger decides to use that, that could be quite strong if QXC moves out on the map. could warp in some units, harass the mineral line.
Yeah, there is a lot of counterattack potential from the Protoss being able to warp in units in the back. Even just 3 or 4 Zealots being warped in behind can really change the tide of a game if you're fighting somewhere else on the map.
Now what's interesting is Tiger has added a Twilight Council. You don't normally see a Twilight Council this timing. He may want to be getting some sort of really quick charge. You might see Blink, but against this type of build from QXC, it's not very effective. He doesn't have an Observer or Hallucination to try to blink into the main or anything like that. It's going to allow him to micro his Stalkers a little bit better, but I just don't see it really being a good choice. And Dark Shrine is in production. I was going to say that's the other possibility. Dark Shrine is great against defending drops, and also, of course, gives you a little bit of map control.
Especially with that forward pylon we were just talking about, he can warp in some Dark Templar a little bit further away. He does not. The QXC does not see the forward pylon, even though he does have a Marine there just guarding to see what's going on.
Oh, and Hallucination is in production right now, and he may actually try to use a Sentry to hallucinate a Phoenix to gain vision of the high ground and warp Dark Templar in up into QXC's main.
And there are actually 5 sentries on the field, all gaining energy quite quickly, so he could actually warp in on the high ground like you were talking about, or he could bring in something like Colossi to try to trick out QXC into what tech he's going.
Exactly. Now it looks like we are going to see somewhat of a push here from Tiger. That Dark Shrine is getting pretty close to being done. And it looks like he's just going to beat his chest a little bit here, pressure, but he doesn't want to actually engage. He wants to kind of test QXC's army. He wanted to see if there were any missile turrets there. And in fact, right now there are no missile turrets out for QXC. He doesn't even have an engineering bay.
Yeah, this is going to get quite dangerous. He has no energy on his main command center, so he can't do a scan. He did just drop another mule, so this timing from Tiger could actually be perfect if he starts to warp in right now.
Yeah, QXC does luckily get an SCV over here to see what's going on. He's going to see his army is not back at home. And the Dark Shrine is done. Here comes a Hallucinated Phoenix. He does have that pylon finishing right at the same time as that Phoenix is going to warp a DT up onto the high ground. Or you should be doing that.
Well, he warped one in the background to come in from the back of the
okay, he's going to run one into
QXC.
the natural right now.
That Scouting Marine does see it early, though, so QXC is going to be queued in, and he does know he needs to start saving up scans. However, there is also a Dark Templar in the main of QXC. He is going to be taking down a few units. No SCV damage quite yet, but it does force all the SCVs to transfer over to the natural and not mine at the optimal income rate that he really needs right now.
Yeah, there's so many DTs split into different directions. QXC didn't save scans, so he's just only able to scan when those orbitals get enough energy. That engineering bay will finish, so he's going to be able to start making some turrets, but he is losing so many units here. There's another scan, but there's one more Dark Templar kind of hidden around. Here's going to try to stop that missile turret from going up, and that is huge if that missile turret goes down. And it looks like you may keep that alive. And in fact, it does kill that turret. Another one being made, but so many DTs, or so many kills on those DTs. Another DT in the main has 9 kills, even killing a supply depot. Just doing so much damage. This is really bad for QXC.
QXC did have that missile turret surrounded, so the DT couldn't get to it, but he did move his unit, so the DT did get a little closer. However, the missile turret does go up, and the DT does go down. There is still the DT in the main doing tons of damage and eliminating that base from mining. What is our income rate right now? Ooh.
Yeah, right now it's 47 workers for Tiger, just 31 for QXC. Not mining any gas right now. And he doesn't even have geysers at his natural. And there's still a Dark Templar in his main. Those Dark Templar doing so much damage to his army, and QXC is just falling apart here. And look at that, losing so many units to just 2 Dark Templar. Just doesn't have the scans to use, and he's losing so much. He does have another scan now, but it's looking really bad.
And he did scan in his main to clear it out, so he can go back to mining there. He's going to be transferring his SCVs over now. But the amount of time that he lost in that period of time is really going to hurt him quite a bit.
And Charge is finishing up here. As soon as Charge is done, there's so many Zealots out on the field. Things are going to get really nasty, even making some Archons to add them into the mix. So he's going to finally shut this harassment down. He did kill the pylon in the south and also the pylon that was warping into his main. But even so, he's just so far behind. He's 20 supply behind. He's lost a lot of mining time. And this is not a good place to be for these units.
Ooh, and the force fields go down to wipe out that little unit. And then he does use the massive attribute of the Archons to knock down the force fields and push in with his entire army. He's going to be able to take out a lot of these SCVs, take down the bunkers, and push in with his charged Zealots to be able to take down the rest of the bio army of QXC. However, QXC picks up its entire army, moves it behind the force fields. That's a beautiful maneuver, but will it be enough to keep him in this game?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, Torch, it looks like that's going to be it. GG!
GG is called. Tiger does take his first televised game in the GSL or the GSTL. He is looking very relieved there, going out to meet the rest of his team. QXC not looking quite as happy as he could, obviously. But he did have a good showing there, just did not quite get those missile turrets up quite when he needed them. Those DTs did a lot of damage. It also seems like QXE was a little bit nervous, maybe didn't quite think about all the different options that Tiger could have pulled out. He didn't have the tech pattern that he would have ideally wanted in a situation like that.
Yeah, getting the engineering bay up is just kind of a necessity, not only for upgrades, but also to get those missile turrets up, and I feel like he kind of missed the timing for that. He was probably a little nervous, maybe just trying to go through the other parts of his build very, very rigidly, but unfortunately just forgot that engineering bay, and he didn't have scans, and when that happens, it's just unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation. You don't have the E-bay, you can't get those turrets up, you don't have enough scans, and you just end up losing simply because of it.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. He also, I don't know if he got the scouting of the expansion timing going down for Tiger, so he was kind of playing in the dark, so he expanded blindly. He didn't tech to missile turrets exactly when he should have, and that was really unfortunate.
Yeah, so FXO is going to be sending out their next player. I won't tell you guys who it is, but we have prepared for this situation. We knew that it was possible that QXC would lose the first game. We didn't think it would be likely, but we have prepared for this situation. And for that reason, I think that even though we've lost this game, our mentality is not shattered. We're prepared for this kind of scenario, and you guys will find out here pretty shortly who our next player is going to be.
Yeah, it is unfortunate to go down the first game, but it's not something that you're not going to be prepared for.
Exactly.
One game doesn't mean a whole lot. Now, if one team gets a 2 or 3 game lead, then it could be a little bit problematic. But one game, you just, all right, now you are on the home ground. You get to choose who you're sending out and what map you're playing on.
Yeah,
so
and they have no idea who that's going to be. They can't necessarily prepare for your next player, so that gives you an advantage, and that's why you get to choose the map, and that's why this format is like this. So losing the first game is very important for mentality. But I think a lot of teams, like maybe StarTale, I'm not saying they necessarily did, but if they had thought, oh, he's going to win no matter what, and then he lost, it might have shattered their mentality if they weren't prepared. But good teams prepare, and our team is prepared for this scenario. So you're going to find out right now who our next player is.
I feel pretty good.
Oh, coach interview.
Not confident, but we'll see how we go. Our players have been practicing hard, and we're ready for whatever they throw at us. I'd just like to say thank you to all our fans for supporting us through the hard times and the good ones. I'd also like to thank Razer for sponsoring us with hardware, and of course my colleagues at FXOpen. In the entire season, our goal is to make the playoffs. We believe that we can beat 3 out of the 5 teams that are in our group, so hopefully we'll stand up and make ourselves proud.
FXO 팀 저희가 사실 많이 알지는 못하는 팀이기 때문에 많이 알려진 국내에 이렇게 많이 알렸다고 하는데 저희 팀에서는 사실상 그렇게 경험이 많지 않아요. 그렇기 때문에 해외 선수들과 경기를 해본 선수들이 좀 어떠한 해외 선수들의 특성이나 이런 것들을 좀 많이 옆에서 알려줬고요. 그 다음에 그렇게 맞춰서 준비를 했기 때문에 오늘 뭐 재밌는 경기 나올 거라고 생각합니다. 다른 팀들이랑 봤을 때 저희 팀 대진이 저는 좋다고 생각을 해요. 그래서 IM팀과 어떤 재밌는 경기를 펼칠까를 갖고 지금 벌써 고민 중이고, 그 다음에 나머지 그 앞에 있는 네 팀이랑 좀 저희가 좀 원사이드하게 이길 수 있는 방법을 좀 생각하고 있고요. 그 다음에 저희 팀 이번 컨셉이 그 기존에 나갔던 선수들 말고 나가지 않았던 선수들이 아마 다 나갈 거예요. 그래서 아마 여러 선수들 보실 수 있을 것 같고 재밌는 경기 아마 보실 수 있는 기회가 될 것 같습니다. 네, 요즘 저희가 성적이 별로 그렇게 좋지 않습니다. 팀 리그 그 다음에 개인 리그 해서 좀 부진한 게 사실인데 그 기대에 못 미치는 게 사실이었습니다. 근데 앞으로 좀 더 열심히 해서 저희가 이번 시즌을 계기로 해서 좀 다시 예전의 명성을 찾아갈 수 있는 스타테일 팀이 될 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다. 많은 관심 가져주시고요. 많이 응원해 주시면 그 성원에 보답할 수 있는 스타테일 팀 될 수 있도록 노력하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Alright guys, so sorry about that. I thought we were going to take a look at our next player, but as it stood, we took a look at some coach interviews.
And those were some fighting words from the StarTale coach. The other 4 teams that are not Incredible Miracle will be significantly easy. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that kind of attitude can be problematic, but I think that essentially what can happen is, for example, you send out a player like Tiger, who hasn't really been seen, doesn't have a lot of results, and if he loses, you still have other players to fall back on. So that kind of confidence is good. It gets some other players more experience. But on the same note, if you kind of take it as a joke, I don't think that's what he's taking it like, though. I think he's saying it'll be easy for us, and I know my players are good enough to beat those other teams, so I'm going to send them out. It sounds a little cocky, but I don't think it's really that cocky. I think it's more so just a good way to say, hey, these other players are not as good. I mean, they're better than you guys actually think. They don't have that many results, but I'm going to send them out because they can do it.
Yeah, a lot of these teams do actually have a lot of depth to them, where we only see, in the foreign community, we only see the top 2, 3, maybe 4 players. So the teams are very grateful for the opportunity to show a lot of their players that don't normally get the spotlight in the GSL.
Exactly.
But hopefully it doesn't bite them in the butt a little bit, and that overconfidence kind of sends them out the wrong player, and they might lose some games that they really shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, sending out Tiger, for example, someone watching this, myself included, thought maybe he's a weaker player. And we didn't go into this thinking, he's going to be a bad player. But FXO kind of thought he's sending out someone that hasn't qualified for Coda yet. Mm-hmm. He hasn't been used in a tournament before, so he's probably a weaker player. But he showed us that he was pretty good.
That is very true, and QXC was a very good player for FXO, but is not their best. Who is going to be their next player that they do pull out?
Who's it going to be?
Oh, is that Sheth going out there?
There he is.
Ooh.
Sean Simon, Sheth. The manners
are... to that one. This guy is so friendly, so nice, but he's also a very, very deadly Zerg player from North America.
If you make any mistakes, Sheth will catch it. It'll be Zerglings in your base.
Tiger giving a little sigh. Yes. Zerg's coming out.
Tiger actually looking a little bit nervous about it. Maybe it's his weakest matchup, perhaps. I'll tell you right off the bat that Sheth's strongest matchup is ZVP. He's definitely one of our players that we thought if we lose to Tiger, Sheth should be able to crush him. And so that's why he's been chosen here. He's only been in Korea for about 3 days, so he hasn't had as much time to prepare as the other players have. But even so, I think he's ready. He's been training a lot with Haksu. He's been training with our Pro-Ops players, and I think he's definitely ready.
And he's using some scotch tape there to hold down the mouse cord of his mouse, obviously.
Right.
A lot of the Korean players actually have this little spongy thing, or slinky thing that they can stick their mouse cord in so that it always stays in the same spot at the same time.
I actually talk about that on cast a lot about how I want one, but I just can't find one here for some reason. Do you know anything about that, Torch?
I don't know where to get them, but a lot of the players do have them.
Yeah, I need to just talk to some players. There's the gun run. Video games. The Wizard. Must be from some sort of internet joke.
Well, the Wizard is actually a movie from the 80s or the 90s. I don't remember. But it was where a little kid, he was very good at video games, and he went and won a Nintendo tournament. It's quite exciting. You should check it out if you haven't seen it yet.
I kind of want to go watch that movie now. Maybe we can get back to the GOM house and check that out. So Sheth is going to be the next player. He's practiced this matchup a lot. He's almost only practiced this matchup since he's been here. He hasn't been that long. He's been getting his sleep schedule back to normal, getting used to living in a house with 12 people. Very cramped. Our house is, it's not a bad environment, but it's an environment that Sheth is not used to. And the rest of the team has been used to that for a while. So it's a little bit more difficult for him to adjust and practice, but even so, he's been doing extremely well since getting here, and he is ready.
Yeah, and that is an interesting thing that a lot of people don't talk about too much in the foreign scene is your environment that you're in completely changes the way you play. When you come into a new environment, especially in something like this where you're in a booth, there's a lot of eyes on you, you don't really play exactly at your optimum. Sometimes people actually play a little bit better because of that, though.
Yeah. It's not like you're playing at a ladder game. You're not sitting in your room by yourself. You don't have your bag of potato chips next to you. You're not just kind of sitting there and every time you win a game, you just alt-tab and start surfing Team Liquid. It's not quite like that when you're here. It's a little bit different. And Sheth did have a few nerve issues in MLG. Our team has talked about that. We thought that maybe he performed a little bit less than optimally. And, we've talked to him, and he says he feels much more comfortable now. He's been there. He's experienced it now. Obviously, a lot of you guys made jokes about Sheth never coming to a LAN and stuff like that because that was just how it was for a while. But now he's finally getting that LAN experience, and that was a weakness for him, but I think he's overcome it. Yeah, and
it's something that the more you play, that goes away very, very quickly. Just the comfort that you get on the stage. But now we're going to see him play on Metalopolis against a Korean StarCraft 2 player.
And Metalopolis was the map that he decided to use for this. It's a very open map. Obviously, on this particular version of the map, there are no close spawns. So he did come into this thinking, most likely, if I can play on Metalopolis, it's a map that I've practiced on a lot. It's not something I have to get used to. He's only been here for 3 days. He hasn't really practiced on all of the GSL maps and GSTL maps as much as he's played on Metalopolis. Obviously, everyone's played on Metalopolis, played on the ladder all the time. A lot of people disable it because of close spawns, but that's another story for another day. But even so, Sheth feels very comfortable on this map. It's a very... Zerg can feel comfortable on this map.
Yeah, it's a map that has proven to be relatively balanced throughout the history of the game, starting back from the beta. Now, we do have... Sheth is leaving the booth for a little bit. I don't know exactly what he needs to deal with. Hopefully we will be told shortly.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely sure why, but just hang tight for a second, guys. Seth's probably just fixing some settings, getting himself prepared mentally. I don't know exactly what's happening, but we'll find out here pretty soon. There might be a computer issue. Maybe he need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, had to fix his makeup.
Yeah, I don't know.
Running down a little bit.
It's like his mother's there. It's like, I told you to go before we left.
Can't turn this GSL around.
It's like, oh, can we stop at a gas station? No. I love those road trips, though. My family actually traveled a lot. Went on a lot of road trips. I always would ask, can we go to the Quick Trip? Can I get a pack of gum? Ask, like, can I get a soda? It's so exciting. The road trip's terrible. You're playing your Game Boy and stuff. Your battery dies. But it's like when you get to go to the gas station, your parents buy you a soda. It's so awesome.
You have to fight with your sibling over who gets the fully batteried Game Boy, so you get the full colors instead of the fading one. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a really good point. Well, there he is. He's ready. He's back. So
that was a quick washroom visit.
Yeah. Not entirely sure if that's what he was up to, but even so, it looks like he's fully prepared now. That seems to be the case.
I think he had to make a sacrifice in the back room. So.
So maybe a little bit nervous, I think.
Yeah, it's something that hopefully will go away as soon as the game starts. Now, the environment, you getting ready for this is very different than what you've done before, even in an MLG.
Yeah, even if you go to MLG, you're in Korea. There are so many eyes on you. There's so many eyes on you at MLG, but this is a different studio. It's a different experience. There's a live audience right here. And
you guys out there.
A lot of people expect so much from him. And, I told him before the match, too, I said, I know you're nervous, but the team is counting on you, and you know that, and you've known that when you came here, you knew that, and don't be nervous, just calm down and play it. And as you can see now, he looks very calm and relaxed, and I think he'll do a great job.
Yeah, he's looking quite happy. Once the game starts, all this stuff is going to melt away, and it's just going to be the game that he knows and loves.
We've got some great booths here. They're completely soundproof. You sit in there, you're just focused on the game. They're really great.
Until the game starts and they blast the music in there, so you absolutely can't hear anything outside, and it's a unique experience.
It definitely is. So it looks like he is ready. He says so in the chat, I believe.
Yeah, he's saying, okay, thanks, good luck. The Korean casters are also wishing him good luck as well. A lot of these people in Korea are very, very well-mannered. It's a great feeling to have all these people around
that's
you.
Actually something that's really different from other servers that I've played ladder on. No one here bad manners you, except you get it sometimes, but it's really funny.
But it's in a language you don't understand.
Yeah, well,
so
they
say
it very nicely to you. Like, they'll just be like, they'll say balance or something, and then say it just like, I don't understand, but they won't say like, you're bad, and I only lost because of this, or something like that. Some people have been known to do that.
I've actually been friend requested and then messaged multiple times when I play some 2v2s with John. We get BM'd a lot. But 1v1, people are pretty well-mannered because they're all there to be pro gamers. They're all trying to get up to that level.
And Sheth actually plays... I was wondering if this was going to come up, but Sheth actually plays with his keyboard in his lap. That's something a lot of people don't know about Sheth. So I was wondering, I was going to make a joke about it if we were casting and it showed his booth and he was there and it looked like he wasn't playing with the keyboard. I was like, you mean Sheth doesn't use a keyboard? He actually moves his mouth and clicks on the attack button? No, he actually does use a keyboard, but he puts it in his lap. He feels more comfortable doing that. So it's very unique. You hardly ever see it. You see sometimes in FPS games, I've heard of people doing that, but I've never seen someone in StarCraft do that before.
FPS or fighting games, it happens a lot. It's something where you can get it where you always want it every single time.
Exactly.
So we are actually going into the game right now.
Yeah, it's loading up.
FXOpen Zerg versus StarTale Protoss on Metalopolis.
The map is Metalopolis. Can FXO catch up and tie it up 1-1, or will Tiger put this team up 2-0?